The Lighthouse Television Network, America's premier online gospel television network.
Welcome to the Lighthouse presentation of The Storm, a scripted case study of the Johnson Equipment Company employees, families, friends, the owner, and their families. The host and co-host with special guests will identify and encourage the people to take the path to go around the storm, or through the storm, or let the storm passes over. Many of us are experiencing pain and suffering, disappointments, heartaches, and financial ruin. Life has dealt crippling blows to our future happiness and security. We feel that life is so unfair. I agree. We do all the right things and make all the right sacrifices in an effort to succeed in life. Yet life keeps throwing fiery darts at us. We become educated, secure good jobs, work hard, and raise beautiful families. Then one day, usually without prior warning, the storms of life will blow into our lives and turn them upside down. Difficulties become overwhelming as questions invade our hearts and minds. Uncertainties test our perseverance. We cannot seek a light at the end of a very dark tunnel. We find ourselves in situations where darkness deepens and we do not know where to turn. Storms are a fact of life, such as serious illness, disease, accidents, catastrophes, unemployments, loss of retirement savings, death, loneliness, hardships, and personal problems, to mention only a few examples. How do you weather the storms of your life? Now, here is The Storm.
This morning we'll be talking about Wilbert Whitaker. I'm Deacon Charles Alexander, your narrator. And we're talking about Wilbert Whitaker, the manager of Johnson Equipment Company. There was even a sadness on Ben and Mark Davis walked toward the imposing white church with the great steeple to say their final farewell to the old man, whose given name was Wilbert Whitaker. If it had not been for him, they would not be the co-owners and partners of Johnson Equipment. Ben turned to Mark and said, "This was the good idea that the two of us should come together and let the wives and the children come later. I wanted a few moments, quiet moments together before the madness began." Ben, who had been silent since he picked up Mark, smiled and responded, "Look around you." It looked as if others people had the same idea. Mark glanced around and noticed that the parking lot of the church and the side of both streets were lined with cars as far as the eye could see. Upon entering the foyer of the church, the soft organ music and the heavy smell of flowers greeted them. They both stopped and signed the guest book with the signature that was most prominent on the stationery of the Johnson Equipment Company. Somehow they both knew that being here now was a tribute. The old man would have been pleased in his own way. They were and always would be his boys, who still had more to learn about being cooperative executives. He had personally chosen himself, as he had studied all the other employees who were part of the Johnson Equipment Company. Even though the casket was open, neither one of them chose to view the body. They knew they wanted to remember the old man as he had been at the company. The heavy embroidered memory program was filled with facts, figures, and personal things that Mr. Whitaker would not have wanted shared. For such public figure, he had maintained a very private part of himself that he did not give to all of the employees. Ben and Mark had their own private thoughts as they remembered the funeral announcement that had come on their new Apple Watch. 9:47 a.m. Monday, September the 8th, 2014. File in the business section. Comment. Johnson Equipment Company announced a schedule to events surrounding the funeral of manager Wilbur Whitaker. Public viewing. There will be 2 public viewings at First Baptist Church, Austin, at which the public may pay respect to Mr. Whitaker. The first will be 4 to 7 p.m. Tuesday, September the 9th, following a private family viewing. Another public viewing is from noon to 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday, September the 10th, immediately preceding the funeral service. Public funeral service. A public funeral service will be held at First Baptist Church, Austin, Wednesday, September the 10th at 2 p.m. The public is asked to park at a nearby Turk Stadium and take the shuttle to the funeral. The shuttle will run continuously from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. from the Torah Stadium to First Baptist Church, Austin, and from First Baptist Church, Austin to Torah Stadium immediately following the public funeral service until 4:30 p.m. Private family burial. A private family burial for Whitaker will be held in Austin on Thursday, September the 11th. Wilbur Whitaker was 74 years old, who lived alone in a condominium for older adults on the Lake Austin. He seldom noticed the unspeakable skyline of the city or the other amenities that his lifestyle afforded him. He had worked hard to build up the company, which was more of a family than children, that he often thought Ella spoiled. Johnson Equipment Company and those employees there would be his legacy, and he had been very proud of it. He and his wife, Ella, who owned and operated a small farm equipment company in Lubbock, Texas, before they migrated to Austin, when they were both newlyweds at the age of 21. There, they started a much larger operation based Wilbur knowed of farm equipment and the impact that it would always have on the country. He even dreamed of having his equipment throughout the world, where food could produce, roads created, and life made better in it for everyone. When he met Mark Davis IV and Ben Davis, who shared the same dream, he sold his company to them with the confidence that he would remain as the general manager of the company as long as he was able to be productive. When that time came, the plan was to enjoy travel and retire life together. However, shortly after retiring, Ella was diagnosed with a serious heart problem, and she died within 6 months. Mr. Whitaker had been living alone for over 4 years because Wilbur and Ella spent most of their time working and involved in family activities. There were a few close friends in his life. One of his sons, Charles, had Wilbur to dinner every Sunday, but had little time during the week because of competing demands. Wilbur's other children, including a daughter living in another state who called daily but seldom visit because of the cost. A daughter overseas in military service, and a son with Down syndrome who lived in a group home about an hour away. Wilbur indicated that he was a hard drinker during his 20s and 30s when he developed stomach problems and high blood pressure. At that point, he limited his use of alcohol to his Friday night poker club and to Sunday dinner with the family. Since Ella's death, Wilbur had regularly consumed 3 to 4 drinks a day. He said it eliminated some of the pain, stress, and loneliness. It also helped him sleep, along with the over-the-counter medication that he took for arthritis pain and as sleep aids. He came to the clinic because his hypertension and gastric had been extremely intractable. When you ask Wilbur how he is doing, he says, "Oh, I guess I'm okay for an old widow. I don't think it really matters how I feel or what I do anymore at my age." Both Mark and Ben began silently wiping their eyes as they read the personal portion of the obituary. Soon they could have to remove the linen handkerchief from their pockets if his business accomplishments did not include some of the favorites that was the old man. They were in luck because listed on the top of page 2 was a list of his accomplishments that trebled the accomplishment of Caterpillar, beginning with selling and the hauling of heavy-duty equipment within the United States, Canada, and later in Peru, and in the 1970s in Panama, Australia, El Salvador, Brazil. But the old man was proudest of the most than 1,000 pieces of heavy-duty equipment transported and used to help construct the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline. At times, Mark and Ben remembered that he would often seem to be in a daydream when he spoke of Johnson Equipment Company providing heavy-duty equipment to aid in the recovery efforts after devastating flooding following a major hurricane which hit the east coast of the United States, or the 220 pieces of heavy-duty equipment needed to help construct more than 660 dams as Art of Mexican Plan Benito Juarez, or the numerous other places throughout the world. He would smile and talk of trips to Switzerland, Hong Kong, Africa, Iran, Paris, France, and so many other parts of the world. Mark remembered the last visit to the old man when he was hanging the most recent world map. He thought to himself, why does the old man do this kind of work, which is dangerous for a man of his age to be climbing on a ladder? He could get any employee to do this. Suddenly, Mark remembered that the name of the map may have changed, but the old man's trophy map would always be his personal project. Every pin in that map was a destination where Johnson Equipment Company had intervened. As an afterthought, I believe we'll ask for a copy of that map and keep the old man tradition up. More than any company profile, that simple gesture truly defines who we are at Johnson Equipment. Ben noted that the music had changed and that the sanctuary was filled when he looked up. He could only smile as he remembered the early training that the old man insists that all the executives attend. He smiled deeply when he remembered that the old man usually forgot that he had sold the company to them. Therefore, his suggestions were more than mandates from a beloved grandfather. Their first training trip was done in a crowded pickup truck, but their last trip was on the newest company jet available at the time. He would remember some of the topics that were covered. Joe Baker Management Construction would result in monthly turnover increase from $40,000 to now regularly exceed $65,000. Planning improvement, longer term planning is now highlighting issues before they occur. Shifting leadership focus from day-to-day management to long-term company prosperity. Key operational tasks distributed among the organization. Michael Beall, the 30 leadership plan, which for the first time the clients had a full thought out approach to his new role, taking account of the people's financial and technical aspect. This gave him both the confidence and the composition to approach his first 30 days in a professional manner. Competence to approach his first 30 days in a professional manner. The manager at Johnson Equipment Company, first Thomas White and later Pete Olson, successfully completed their first 3 months and is one of the few new managers within the division to create a very positive impression within that time and had put in place the foundation to achieve excellent financial results. Ben, Mark, and the old man were the first from Johnson Equipment Company to attend the conference. Consequently, all managers and lead persons had been mandated to attend. David, the new business developer, led to an initial deal in place with a marquee account within the industry where Mark and Ben were able to seize additional seed funding from investors and global exposure through PR surrounding the deal. For the old man, logistics is the supply process was the last of his projects, which led to the development of the international infrastructure. It was an intervention approach to logistics management that proved that a reliable source process can impact an overall return on investments and ultimately shareholders' value. Explaining the rationale behind total cost analysis, a systematic logistic original cost accounting system, and the principal requirement for an effective logistic costing system. Emphasize the importance of customer profitability analysis based upon an understanding of the cost to serve. Introducing the concept of direct project profitability and underlining the need to understand the customer logistic cost. Highlighted the need to identify the cost driving in the logistic pipeline and to replace traditional forms of cost analysis with more appropriate methods, thereby redefining logistics management that covered the physical movement of projects as raw materials from their point of origin to reciprocated by end users as a final project. Entrepreneurs need to understand international logistics because global production processing and delivery activities encompasses all transportation modes and storage and distribution systems as used more and more frequently to get a product to the customer. Employees' performance was simplified, which results in production input where the globalization of productivity productivity means that Johnson Equipment Company can pursue and process resources from just about anywhere on the planet. Transportation logistics, packaging, labeling, transportation, insurance are also part of international logistics. Sea, air, rail, interstate, road systems are important aspects of transportation logistics. Customer clearance, whereby foreign goods imported into the United States must be processed by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection and federal agents charged with the enforcement of trade and tariff laws. All of this information led to knowledge on their product global supply chain is vital for business planning related to fulfillment capacity. The old man firmly believed and drilled into Mark and Ben that a business operator who does not know these answers risks making delivery promises he cannot keep. Emotionally shaken, awake by the voices of the people whose names were listed on the obituary, Mark and Ben began to listen to speakers. Later, both of them would admit that the voices sound like bees on a summer day. As the service drew to a close, the legal representation from Johnson Equipment Company rose to pay Davis Brothers tribute to Mr. Whitaker, sounding like he was reciting from a brief for discovery. There were phrases such as Mr. Whitaker amplified the importance of putting our value in action. His work ethics, in addition to his warm demeanor and positive attitude, had earned him great respect among co-workers and supervisors alike. With a more moderate tone, the attorney read through watery eyes. I suspect you take a great deal of pride in your work. You care a lot about your former co-workers. I suppose you care a lot about Johnson Equipment Company, and that's what has kept you going for years, the lawyer says. Glancing toward the casket, he said in a quiet voice, I want to thank you for a terrific career with us. The city of Austin also issued proclamation naming September 12th, 2014 Wilbur Whitaker Day. The company torch has been passed to a second generation of executives. At the last board meeting, the old man said, I feel confident Ben and Mark Davis will make it work for the years to come. I'm not going to be around forever. I know my boys will take care of the employees if the employees take care of them. I am grateful that they let me be in charge. Working with them has been the best time of life, with the exception of meeting and loving my Ella. I am proud of all of you who have worked and been loyal to the Johnson Equipment Company. The lawyer moved slowly to his seat. Mark glanced at Ben and back down to the memorial program. Oh, he thought, the old man would get a better laugh out of this. In lieu of flowers, the family asked that donation be made to Dorsey Foundation, which was founded in 1984. Donations can be made to the Dorsey Foundation, 5200 Bluffington Road, Austin, Texas. The time came for the pallbearers to turn the casket and move it slowly out of the church. Mark and Ben could not remember a more sadder time. There were sniffling and red eyes all over the church, and they were sure the same emotions were being felt in the overflow viewing area. They joined the receptionist, and his favorite song played. Willie Nelson sung out with all of his strength. On the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Ben looked at Mark's smiling face that was bloated and filled with unblemished tears. He said, "Big brother, the old man would have loved that. Did you arrange it to be played?"
Welcome to the Lighthouse Television Network, America's premier online gospel television network.